Good evening, everyone. So, tonight, here on the Hillbilly Think Tank, got a big question for y'all. Let's see if we can answer it. I think this is a question that everyone needs to really think about. We've skirted around this idea for years, and it's time that we Americans finally make our decision. So, once again, this is the Hillbilly Think Tank. I am Spencer Keck, and I'm coming at you live from the Tunnel Hills here in Hardin County, Kentucky. And I am running for magistrate, 3rd District, Hardin County. So, my question for you tonight is healthcare a human right? I'm going to give it a few seconds, let you type your answers down there in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let's get a little riff going here and give me your personal opinion. All right, so post me a comment and let me know, is healthcare a human right, or is it just a liberty that you can keep away from somebody if you want to? Should we all receive healthcare as a human right? Let me know what you think. So, is healthcare a human right? Give you guys a little bit of time to type it. We've got Coffee Cats and True Crime. All right, what do you think? Coffee Cats and True Crime. Is healthcare a human right? Definitely, says Coffee Cats and True Crime. Thank you. All right. See if we can get anybody else to comment. Any other thoughts? I definitely also believe that it is a human right. Like to hear other thoughts. I was debating this today with someone, trying to push them on their thoughts. Took someone to Frankfort, Kentucky today to register to run for office. You know, if you have to go to Frankfort to register, you're either running for federal or state government position. So it wasn't a county position like I'm running for. But you know that we have found that this candidate and I have very, very similar ideas on a lot of stuff. But I feel this good friend was possibly, hedging either their bet or trying to decide whether they want to push this envelope and decide, whether healthcare is a human right. So went back and forth on it a bit. What do you think? So Coffee Cats and True Crime says definitely it is a human right. So for years, when I grew up, my grandfather, as I've said before, he was a small town doctor in Eastern Kentucky. So Papaw is what I called him. Dr. Spencer. Ben Smith. All right. Good to see you there, Ben Smith. Ben Smith says healthcare is definitely a human right. All right. So if you got a little time there while I'm talking, tell me why you say definitely it's a human right. Because I know people say no, it's not. It's just a liberty or it's just a convenience if you can afford it. All right. So Papaw, as a country doctor in one of the most impoverished places in the United States, Appalachia, Eastern Kentucky. Folks out there been living a hard scrabble life for a long time, just as many people are, even here in Hardin County. Jonathan. All right. He says, "What's up, fam?" All right. What's up is us. Thanks for you guys for being up. And we're having a little debate here, John. Jonathan, we'd like your opinion. Is healthcare a human right? Ben says, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Can't have life without healthcare. Well, you're still in my thunder. Perfect. That's where I wanted to go with this. So, Papal, country doctor, never turned a patient away ever, regardless of whether they had insurance or not. Now, my Papal, because of that, he charged people on a sliding scale from 0 to what he knew they could actually afford to pay, which would let him stay afloat and allow him to charge other people 0. That's the sliding scale that Hippocrates said. So Papal, he liked Medicare. He believed it was a good thing, but he wasn't for what he, at the time, considered socialized medicine. I know he was getting a lot of this from the American Medical Association, but he failed to recognize, in my opinion, that he was one of the few doctors in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s when we talked who were still going by what Hippocrates said, still using the sliding scale. He knew every one of his patients, unless it happened to be someone who drove through town and got injured, like happened in his practice once in a while. But this is it back at Appalachia where very few visitors come just for the heck of it. So, there'd be times when patients would come in, they would receive what anywhere else would have been hundreds of dollars worth of medical care and medicine. He would charge 0. Hey, let my grandsons and me come and fish in your farm pond. We go to a farm pond, like I said before, no bigger than this room. He didn't charge them anything. So he could say that, he didn't believe in socialized medicine, even though he did believe in Medicare. But that wasn't the reality of the way he treated every single person. And in his spare time, he was always working to he brought with Burt Combs, our governor at the time, when my grandpa practiced medicine 50 years or more. He and Burt Combs worked for free immunizations for Appalachian kids. Well, all kids in Kentucky, actually. That happened because of work that Papal did lobbying his best friend, the governor, Burt Combs, to get the legislature to pass immunizations for all. That cut back a lot of deaths in Appalachia. So where am I going with this? Again, it was just brought up by Ben. So I was talking to a very good friend of mine who I went to be a signature for so that he can be on our ballot in May for the primary. We were talking. What are his 3 things that he believes in? I'm going to have him on the show, let him talk about it. But one of the things we agreed about is, we need health care. We need more access to health care. Well, my belief is we need universal access. We don't need to hedge our bets anymore. All right. Democrats, hey, if we still don't realize it, we are not the majority party. What the fuck do we have to lose right now? We have nothing to fucking lose but a race for democracy. And if we're going to fucking hedge our bets and try to act like, oh, we don't want to piss off people that are moderates on this issue, well, you're going to fucking lose because the right wing, the Reich wing, is playing for the whole fucking ball game. They don't know how to meet in the middle ground. So if we're not going to meet in the middle ground on anything with these guys, then what the fuck are we doing when it comes to healthcare? Because you can't, as Ben just said, have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as inalienable rights, as was said in one of our most important documents in American history. We said that we were leaving the fucking King of England and the government of England because they were depriving us of our inalienable rights given to us by Providence to live a life with our inalienable rights of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And again, how can you have life if you're deprived of health care? So, and as we're having a debate today, it was brought up, oh, healthcare, maybe it's just a liberty. No, I'm not going to take that argument any fucking more. There's some hills that I'm going to die on in my career. Now, should I be talking about this since I'm running for a county position? And I can't, in the county, I can't make the county say, hey, we're going to give universal health care. Now, it's going to have to be nationally done and statewide done. But I can still push the fucking envelope for goddamn fucking pussies who will allow kids to fucking die after they come out of the womb. But, they won't do shit for them after that. They don't mind if they fucking can't be on Medicaid anymore. They don't mind if they can't fucking get any food, as we saw with the government shutdown. They don't mind if they go to school and are fucking starving for breakfast and lunch because they're not going to get at school, and they're not even going to get fucking any meals at night at home. So, yeah. Ben says the right wing sees humanity as a commodity, something they can buy and sell. Exactly fucking true. Coffee, cats, and true crime. It's also good economic sense. A healthy community is a productive one. So you actually spend less and gain more by having it. And there we go. I mean, what more do we need to say to anyone, right? Oh, I see up here we've got it's all what else? What are the point of taxes if we're not going to be able to do this? Yes, all excellent, excellent points. So we have been hedging our bets for far too fucking long, right? When it came time for the Affordable Care Act, they thought, hey, we're never going to be able to convince the Republicans, even though the Democrats had the majority, we're never going to be able to convince the Republicans and the moderate Democrats to stand up to the lobbies in the healthcare industry. We're not going to be able to win that. So let's at least give them a little taste. Let some of the truly folks at the bottom end of middle class, lower middle class, right on the border of poverty class, let's at least make sure they don't die as often as they are now when they get a catastrophic illness. All right. So that's how we got this Affordable Care Act. Well, now folks have seen the fact that with the Affordable Care Act and these subsidies that make sure that your health care costs aren't exorbitant, people are used now to not having to fucking die when their wife gets breast cancer, when Papa gets lung cancer, when grandma has a stroke. It's not a goddamn death sentence anymore for the poverty class or for the working poor. Those that work their fingers to the fucking bone and still don't have a income that can afford more than just barely paying the rent and barely paying the utilities and barely buying a little bit of food to live on. Barely. So Ben says, what do you say to the folks that use the VA? See how bad that is and compare VA healthcare to universal healthcare. Now, Ben, please give me a little bit more on that, because one of my points I'm going to make is someone else brought to my attention, if we all had to serve, if there was a requirement that we all serve our country in some dangerous, meaningful way, 2 years out of our life, sacrifice that for the good of the whole community and the whole country, that would inspire more real meaningful patriotism, not this fucking, oh, I love the flag and I love America, unless it comes to helping my neighbor. No, real community spirit like we got when we served during the longest war in American history. Because I'm sure, Ben, if you are saying that you use the VA, then you must have served recently during the longest war in American history. Yeah, Jonathan, you're right. The VA is bad because the ruling party is making it bad. I get all my health care from the VA. And the rare times when there's something I need that I can't get from the VA, I use this community care system that the VA has, thanks to the Obama administration, the Biden administration. All right, Care in the Community Act. It's helped me out immensely. Gotten surgeries I wouldn't have gotten otherwise that have changed my life. And these were all illnesses I got from serving over 20 years, from the first Gulf War to Operation Enduring Freedom and this 20-year war that we just ended. All right, Ben says a lot of complaints about poor care in the VA, long wait lists, and so forth. A lot of people see the same thing about nations with universal health care. Yes, I'm 100% P&T. So he's got 100% through the VA. As far as all of his health care is taken care of through it. Me too. So I get all my health care there. I've been to Canada, went on active duty in the Navy, and after retiring from the military, I've gone for leisure and I've actually gone for work on deployment, stopped off there, had to take some of my sailors there. And I asked everyone in the ER while I was there waiting for an ultrasound that one of my patients needed, hey, would you like to have our healthcare program like we have in America? Their answer was, fuck no, are you fucking crazy? Right? I had to take this young lady to get an ultrasound to find out if she was actually pregnant, as my test said on the ship. And she got an ultrasound. Guess what? It wasn't in black and white. It was actually in full color, basically 3D. When the fuck do you get that kind of thing in America unless you pay through the teeth? It's always black and white, barely see what's going on. But there in Canada, that free visit at the ER, it wasn't a black and white ultrasound. It was a full living color. So, yeah, Coffee Cats and True Crime says they say the same thing because of the propaganda. Jonathan and everyone here making comments, I have very few complaints about my VA care, and I've been using it since I retired in 2014. Actually, 2015, I really went full time into using it because I was using TRICARE up until then. I really I've got TRICARE because I retired from active duty and I have VA benefits. I really don't use TRICARE. I don't want the copay there because I'm over 50% disabled. According to the VA, I don't pay a copay. My family does. So I use my copay money on my family. And that's to me a travesty. I don't understand why, after all that my family sacrificed supporting me and all those years of combat, why we have to pay copays that are higher than I think they should be. But that's another story. Universal health care. Still, what if we all did have to serve in the military or go fight forest fires in the West where they rage every year dangerously? Be a smoke jumper for 2 years if you really don't believe in join the military. Get some real sweat equity into this nation. Then no one should be able to deny any of us universal health care. All right. Now, I talk about my VA care. I get weekly shots for the allergies because I developed severe problems with upper respiratory infections after the first Gulf War, when I breathed in so much fucking burning fuel fumes from that first Gulf War. Then the next war that came along, we know about the burn pits and all the other, there's a lot of other shit that we went through. I don't have time to waste time on that because the whole thing is I have now universal health care. My family has access to TRICARE health care. because I'm retiree. Still not quite, in my opinion, what it should be for them. But I get, again, allergy shots weekly to keep me from having those frequent infections. I've had 3 major sinus surgeries to roto-root my sinuses, chip away bones to make the flow better, to get rid of all this goddamn mucus that has plagued me since that, breathing in all that shit that was as thick as tar during that first Gulf War and the shit in Afghanistan. I've had so many aches, pains, degenerative joint issues, hearing problems, tinnitus. You know, if you don't know, tinnitus is why the owner, the founder of Texas Roadhouse, killed himself. He got tinnitus after he got it. It was left over from COVID, and it plagued him so bad. That's why he killed himself. That's how bad tinnitus can be. Got ringing in my ears right now as we're making this show. But that's not stopping me. But the VA has rated that as a problem. So if I ever get to a point where I need hearing aids, I'll be able to get them from the VA, universal health care. You know, Ben says, me too. Right? So yeah, we now have got to get over the propaganda. Just because I say we, this is me, because I am lower middle class, because I've existed before at that verge of poverty class and just barely clinging onto the rungs for a long time of lower working poor. Now I've moved up to the lower edges of middle class. I'm not quite as terrified of starving as I was for 20, 30 years. I'll be 54 tomorrow. Finally laid my head down at night and don't think that I might have to go dumpster diving as I did as a kid just to get some food, right? But I also, for once, breathe a lot easier due to the VA healthcare that I get, and also knowing that right now it doesn't look like it's ever going to go away from me. But actually, as Jonathan said, they're trying to fuck it up. So they're trying to take away that ever. It may sometime. They may fuck it up so bad in DC that vets will lose this healthcare. And they want to make it bad so they can privatize it. And those private contractors can charge the taxpayers out the wazoo, make it so fucking expensive to take care of me and all of us who have borne the burden of fucking combat. And we know right now the president just bragged. Apparently, we didn't fucking know it. But besides sending missiles into Nigeria on the 24th of December, he's claiming he sent some into Venezuela and did land strikes, not just blowing little boats out of the water anymore, not just taking tons of oil from tankers as we seize them. So what does this mean? If they have their way, we're going to be another land war soon. Get boots on the ground. That means more people are going to need the VA, not just those of us who spent the last 20 years in an endless cycle over in Afghanistan, Iraq, Africa, Philippines, all these places that if you didn't know it, we were fighting the war on terror. All right. So, yeah, we got another boogeyman. This Venezuela that's stealing our oil that's underneath their feet in their country. Okay. But back to it. We should give every working American universal health care. And if you have a mental disability, right, or physical disability and you can't work, you should get universal health care. So all kids should have health care. No question asked ever. That should be just a non-starter. It's going to happen. That's what we need to get. More people, copycats and true crime says, will die for the whims of the billionaires. And that's exactly fucking it. We're at all or nothing proposition now in America. We can't have these goddamn corporate Democrats hedging their fucking bets, hoping they won't piss off their fucking billionaire donors. Fuck it. We need universal access to healthcare, universal access to quality public education. That will need to be another debate or talk on here in itself. And we need to make sure that mental health is available from infancy, we even say neonatal, all the way until the day you die. We need to make sure that if a mom is pregnant and she is going to fall through the cracks once that baby is born or while it's being developed in the womb, that it is taken care of. So we need social workers to really do real work and make sure that moms have the food they need to make these babies come out healthy, and then to make sure that the kids aren't abused once they come out of that womb. And if that mom needs educational training to be able to work in a way she can take care of these babies and they're not going to then suffer childhood trauma, which then we're going to have to deal with 18 years later when they leave the house or 15 years later when they join a gang. We need to have social workers available for child abuse prevention and to intervene if there are mental health problems. So this needs to be done in school, out of school. But that's part of a universal health care plan. People won't be able to fall through the cracks as readily as they do right now. Jonathan just said, I bet the tax dollars they use to bail out AI once the bubble pops could fund healthcare for generations. I absolutely believe so too. And I know so. And we got a fucking demand that if this AI bubble does pop, just like the pop happened in 2008 to the real estate bubble, that this time when they fucking bail people out, it's not the fucking people that create these bubbles that pop and nearly drive us down to the bottomless pit to begin with. Raise all Americans up. That's what Europe did after World War II, after they were in a shambles, literally. Buildings brought to the ground, rich and poor were having to rebuild together again. And they said, okay, we got to have universal health care for everybody. That's when it happened in England. That's when it happened in most of the rest of Europe. They said, we're all in this together. We sink or swim together. Well, Kentucky, our motto is united we stand, divided we fall. Right now, they're trying to divide us. The 1%, 5% at the top against the rest of us below them. And they're trying to make sure that those of us below them can't ever get beyond working poor. We can't have that. So it starts off with universal health care. Because if you're an employee that's not terrified of your employer taking away your health care, you're going to stand up for your rights in the workplace. And you're also going to be a more productive worker if you know your health is covered for life. All right, guys. I appreciate every single one of you that got on here. Hey, Michael Whitaker, appreciate you stopping on. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Yep, it is my birthday tomorrow. And we're just going to make sure, please, that we tear down this terrified mentality that we have. We don't want to piss off the people with money that don't want tax money to be used on universal health care. We'll save so much more fucking money if we have universal health care. And the big thing is, these Republicans like to act like they really care about small businesses in America, mom and pop businesses. There will be so many more opportunity for mom and pop businesses if they don't have to pay for health care for their workers. If that is part of they pay their taxes, workers pay their taxes, then we're all going to get universal health care. But you also can't let these corporations get away with paying only 1% when it comes to corporate taxes anymore. That's fucking bullshit. Corporations had to pay more taxes than I fucking pay. That's where we got to make the changes. And we'll get universal health care. But it's going to take come the 31st when folks see, oh, the Affordable Care Act is gone. The subsidies are gone. And that health care that we've been able to rely on, not driving us in the ground for the working poor, it's going to be driving us in the ground again. Because we elected these sons of bitches with R's by their names that aren't moderate anymore. There's no more moderates left there. They've driven them all out. Now it's only the right wing. And they're going to wave their flags and hold their crosses tight, show it off to you, try to act like they believe in Jesus. But no, Jesus said, the meek shall inherit the earth. He didn't say fucking billionaires. So take it to them. Demand that you only nominate people for your party's ticket if they have universal health care in their fucking platform. If they don't have that, don't fucking vote for them in the primaries. Primary them out. And then when it comes time for the election, don't elect any motherfucker who's going to tell you that healthcare is not a human right. All right. Thanks, Coffee Cats and True Crime. I might be back here tomorrow on my birthday. I might not be. Just depends on what they decide. Am I going to have a surprise birthday party or not? All right. Love your neighbors as yourself. That's what we do here in Kentucky. If we really mean united we stand, divided we fall. Because we realize we are a brother's keeper, we're a sister's keeper. We're all in it together. God bless you. Corazon. Have you a great day tomorrow and this coming year. Let's make a change.